Our Coach's Corner this morning with head football coach and athletic director Jonathan Beverly of Childersburg High School. And Coach, good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's kind of a long night last night.
It was an early morning this morning.
Wow. You're talking about a blur from Friday of last week through Thursday of this week, and then you got another huge region game coming up. Let's take first things first, look back at last week's game, and then we'll get to last night's game.
Right. Last week gave great effort in all three phases and played a really good game against a really good team and found a way to come out with a win. And, Hanley, being the defending state champ, and they haven't forgotten how to play football. I know it's a down year for them by their standards, but they haven't forgotten how to play football, and it was a dogfight. And credit to our kids and our coaches for just keeping their eyes ahead and coming out with a win.
Well, you go from playing the defending state champion last year in 4A to one of the top-ranked teams in 4A every year, ranked number 4 this year, the Leeds Green Wave last night at John Cox Stadium, and the first half wasn't a bad first half. It
wasn't. Did a lot of good things last night, especially in the first half. Really gave good effort in all three phases in the first half. Made some mistakes, but found a way to keep it close going into halftime. It was, they were forced to turnover when they were going into our territory, then came back and responded. And 21-14 at the half, and we need to find a way to play 4 quarters.
You begin with your quarterback, and you got speed at the quarterback position, and you sometimes you line up different guys at different positions in the backfield.
We do. We have a committee mindset when it comes to our tailback. And
a big play right there.
It was a huge play. Takari Kennebrew had a great game last night. And had a big punt return, had 2 receiving touchdowns, played really well on defense. And so we had a lot of guys step up and play big last night. Colin Bennett had a great game at tailback last night. Essentially, again, it's about, finding a way to put 4 quarters together consistently.
Sometimes you just kind of run over guys. You got a physical football team. And of course, Childersburg trailing at halftime. 21-14. You go in at half, you got to be feeling pretty good.
Feeling really good. You're playing a championship level program, and you're playing them toe to toe. And we knew they were going to come out with some ferocity in that second half, and we needed to find a way to answer. And they made plays, and we made plays, but we didn't counter every time they made a play.
Well, when you're playing a team like Leeds, you can't afford to make mistakes. And your quarterback that we talk about every week, he continues to make plays. Of course, that's Jalen Kidd.
Right, makes plays week in and week out, and he's a winner. He's a champion. He's got a winning mindset, and he's got a champion mindset. And it's starting to filter and rub off on a lot of other guys, but he's not the only one. I mentioned Takari Kennebrew, Keyshawn Reynolds. 2 guys on defense that are playing really good football right now, Jacoby Brown and Terry Thomas, who week in and week out do a lot of good things. But it starts with that senior leadership provided by a guy like Jalen, and it filters down.
Defensively for Childersburg, you talked about a couple of guys that stood out last night. But when you play a team like Leeds, they got an explosive offense.
They do. And it's one of those things where at any point in time, any one of their skill players can take one to the house. And, we knew that coming into it. We knew that we had to bottle those guys up. And at times, in spurts, we did. And then there were at times, where we kind of had some breakdowns. And again, the encouraging part of all of this, that it's not an effort issue. And I told our kids, 365 days ago, we go into that game and we've got a lot of questions to answer as far as heart, effort. And those questions have been answered now. So we know week in and week out we're going to get great effort from our kids. Our kids are going to play with great enthusiasm and great heart. And so that's why I'm so encouraged knowing that we're trending in the right direction.
Talk about Kennebrew a little bit. You mentioned him earlier in the show.
He's an explosive playmaker. I would say in our region, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better receiver for sure. And I think, honestly, in 4A football, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better receiver. Last night, a lot of different coverages were thrown his way as a lot of people try to figure out how to stop him. But he found a way last night to come away with 2 touchdown grabs, and he's like that security blanket, that cozy blanket. That when you can throw to him in a big situation, he makes you feel comfortable.
How far is this team from being the kind of team that you want them to be?
We're extremely close. Extremely close. We're honestly, I think at any point in time we can take that next step and be that championship level program. We're in a region with multiple programs that are championship level programs, and we talked a little bit about it off air. Leeds, of course, with multiple state championships this decade. Mumford being, honestly, I think right now on paper, Mumford's the best.
And
team
you got them next week.
We got them next week, and then of course Tallahassee, who's another state title contender. Hanley coming off of last year's state title run. So we're in a region, and we've got a schedule full of championship level football teams. And like I said, 365 days ago, we're not competing with any of them. And we're not at a place to compete with any of them. And then you fast forward a year, and we don't believe in moral victories, but you go to Tallahassee and you play toe-to-toe. You play toe-to-toe with Leeds for 3 quarters. You go to Hanley at their place and win. And so we're seeing that things are going in the right direction. Right now it's about taking the next step. And maybe that next step comes next week. Maybe that next step comes 2 weeks from now. Maybe it comes during spring practice next year. But we're close. And we're a lot closer than we were. Our culture is exponentially better than it was. And as a program, we're exponentially better than we were. And we've got to continue to find ways to gain an edge and move in the right direction.
And the community of Childersburg is hungry for a successful football program. They are.
And not only hungry, but supportive. Can't tell you how good it feels to be in a place that supports you. I know a lot of coaches that aren't in a position like that. And that's what separates winning communities from non-winning communities. And it's not just football. They're hungry for success in everything because they care about their kids. They care about that name of Childersburg, and they want the best.
Childersburg loses to Leeds last night, 42-20. The game was much closer than the final score indicated. You look ahead next Friday to a Munford team that shut out the defending state champion Hanley last night. And, for the last 8-10 years, they've been the goodest program in the state in 4A.
They have been. And Coach Smith, and if he was sitting here, I'd tell him, and that's not to blow smoke his way, he does as good of a job as anybody in any classification with any program. And, what he's done to take Munford from a really good program to now a championship level program, a state title contending program, credit to him and how he does things. And so we've got another big test ahead of us. There are no off weeks in this region. And I told our kids earlier this week, that's fun. That should be challenging, but it's also fun because that you're going to get the best week in and week out. And so let's see where we stand. Let's see what we have pumping through our veins. Let's see if we can take that next step.
Coach Jonathan Beverly, head football coach and athletic director at Childersburg High School. The Tigers face Munford next Friday night. Where are we as far as Childersburg possible playoff seed?
We're 3-2 in the region, and right now we're in the 4th position, and we've got 2 region games left. 1 region win locks everything up, and so right now we're focused on getting that next region win and locking ourselves up in order to be playing November 10th. And honestly, everything that we do right now is focused on getting that next region win so that we can lock things up. There's a lot of different tiebreaker scenarios out there. So, technically, the way things could play out the next couple of weeks, we could not win a region game and still get in. But honestly, like I tell our kids, you kind of control your own destiny right now. And we as a program control it. If we win a game, we know there's nothing else that anybody else can do, we'll be in. And that's what we want to do. We want to kind of control things. We don't want to leave it up to chance or leave it up to somebody having to beat somebody else. We want to win the game ourselves, get in on our own merit, and go from there.
And more than anything else, and you've said this before, you're more concerned about the direction of your football team will be getting better than anything else.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think a lot of coaches will tell you when you come in and you take a program over, everybody's usually got a 3-year plan. Right now, I think we're a little bit ahead of schedule, and that's a good place to be. Mm-hmm. But why not go ahead and qualify for the playoffs in year 2 and make a statement year 2? And of course, we've got a bunch coming back for next year, but we're not even really thinking about that. We're thinking about getting better each week, trending in the right direction each week, and making sure that we can get the most out of this year's team. Because if we maximize our potential, there's no reason why we shouldn't be playing in November.
Well, finally peeking ahead just a bit to the off season and spring practice and 2018. Are there guys on this year's team that you're counting on now that you'll count on again next year?
Absolutely, absolutely. We've got some great classes underneath our seniors. I talk a lot about guys like Terry Thomas and Keyshawn Reynolds, Cameron Thrash. Those are guys that are in our sophomore class that, as 8th graders had to get a little bit of varsity action and then got a lot of varsity action as 9th graders, and now they're fully entrenched on Friday nights as sophomores. And we've got some juniors that, that'll be seniors next year that are great leaders, great players, Christian Guerrero being one of our captains. So we've got some great guys in that sophomore and junior class. Got a great 8th grade class coming up, a very athletic 8th grade class coming up. Of course, they're 8th graders, so you got a lot to shake out before they get to play on Friday nights. But and really, our freshman class is small, but man, they are great kids. And they're not as big. When I say as big, as far as numbers, the numbers aren't in that freshman class, but man, they're great kids. And they, I think, as a class, if you just take their percentage-wise, as far as how many workouts they make in the summertime, man, they're leading the way. So when they're seniors, all of a sudden they don't know anything different other than working hard and doing things the right way. So I mean, there is a positive and an upside to every class that we've got right now. And I just, it's hard for me to keep it contained as far as how
kind
excited I am.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's very exciting, and things, again, we're trending in the right direction. It's hard to contain how excited I am about this program.
All right, Coach Jonathan Beverly, head football coach, athletic director at Childersburg High School. The Tigers lose to Leeds last night. They'll play Munford at John Cox Stadium next Friday night, and that'll be our game of the week for next Friday. Coach Beverly, thank you for joining. We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
More Daybreak right after this.